In today's video, we'll show you how to change your front brake pads and rotors of your 2016 to 2021 Honda Civic. And this applies to anything except an SI or a Type R. And as usual, we'll go through the whole thing together. We'll show you a couple of quick tips. And you are watching BrakeX. Let's get started. First things first, we'll take off the wheels. And then there's these two bolts that's holding on your caliper. I won't want to take it off. It's nothing crazy, just do it nice and easy. Once the two bolts out, we can now take the caliper off, and we can just leave it on the somewhere on the suspension. Just make sure the brake hose is not hanging around, so you don't damage anything. And the pads comes right off. And once we get the old pads out, there's two more bolts that's holding on your caliper bracket, and we'll work on that. Your caliper bracket should come right off. And once we get the caliper bracket off, we can work on this little screw. Just spin it off. And we can give the hammer a little swing and swing the rotor off. And once the rotor's off, we can use a wire brush. We can clean up the hub for a bit, and then it's ready for the new grease. And now we'll work on cleaning up the caliper bracket. We'll want to use a wire brush again and just brush off all the old brake dusts and the old rusts from where your new pads are going to sit on. And we can carefully remove the pin bolts. Just check it up. There's nothing special. Inspect the rubber part, see if there's any cracks, see if anything's broken. If it's not, it's good to go. Now for this part, you can always wipe down the pin bolt and just grease it up with some new greases. And it's not required to do as long as there's, still grease on there, but it's good to do so. And make sure to inspect both sides. And now we can work on applying the greases to where the new pads are going to sit on. And we say this in every single one of our videos. The right amount of grease is not to flood the caliper bracket. You just need the right amount that covers up the caliper bracket. And that's it. And just don't forget the other side. Now once the bracket's greased up properly, we can now get the new clips on the caliper. And for today's video, we'll be using the BrakeX Alpha brake pads with the Aegis fully GEOMET coated rotors. So if you like the video so far, or if you find this useful, make sure to subscribe to our channel, like the video, and check us out at brake-x.com. And once we get the rotors on, we can spin a little lug back on to make sure the rotor doesn't fall off. And we can spin this little screw back on. Just make sure you don't overdo it. Nice and easy. It's pretty fragile. And now we can turn the wheel towards us to give us more space to work on. And just double check on the brake hose. Make sure it's not hanging or, something's on it. And now we can get the caliper bracket back on the rotor. And now we'll put the 2 bolts back on to mount the caliper bracket. And just a quick tip here, we would always start with the top bolt, just so it kind of, leaves the bracket hanging over there, so it's easier for you to work on the rest. And I screwed up a little bit over there, so it's wiggling when I was installing the lower bolt, but that's fine. And once we mounted the 2 bolts back on, we can now work on tightening the bolts. And this is very important. You'll want to tighten this 2 bolts to make sure your caliper's not shaking. And once we get the bracket and the clips on, we can now work on greasing the pads. And the right amount of grease is not to flood the pads as usual. We just want to cover up the area where it's going to touch the new clips. And now we can just slide the pads on. And now the pads are on, and before we can put everything back together, we'll need to use a caliper piston tool to push the piston back into the caliper. Now if you're using the same tool as I am, this might not be the most intuitive tool to use, but it works, so be patient and just give it a nice spin. And now we can put the caliper back on the car. And now we can reinstall the 2 bolts that mounts the caliper. Again, just make sure it's tightened up. You don't want your calipers to be shaking. And it's that simple. We are all done. Now the last step, we can put the wheels back on the car. And just one last quick tip over here. We always want to tighten up our lugs in a star-shaped pattern. And then we can now torque the wheel. And when we lower the car to torque the wheel, we always want to slowly lower the car and torque the wheel when it's barely touching the ground. We don't want to fully lower the car to torque it. It does not work that way. It would not work. and we're all set. Now, once again, thank you for watching BrakeX, and if you've liked the video so far, or if you find this useful at least, make sure to drop a like, subscribe to our channel, and check us out at brake-x.com. And we'll see you again next time.